So recently, I've been trying to give you weekly updates on net neutrality because I think this is one of the most important battles of our generation. And as you all know, there's a bunch of huge websites like Reddit, Amazon, Pornhub, and now Netflix that have teamed up for an internet-wide day of action to protest the FCC's vote to basically ruin the internet by stripping away net neutrality. Now, there's been a ton of allies in the previous fights, but there's one ally that's been conspicuously silent. And really, their silence is deafening when you consider just how big of an advocate for net neutrality they were back in 2014. I'm talking about Tumblr. So during the 2014 Day of Action, they actually slowed down their website in protest of net neutrality with a banner on the top saying, "Stop internet slow lanes from ruining everything." And furthermore, Tumblr CEO David Karp actually met with the last FCC chairman, Tom Wheeler, when he wanted to kill net neutrality and urged him to support Title II instead. But this time, David Karp, for some reason, is remaining silent. And in fact, when press organizations actually ask them to comment on the FCC's current attack on net neutrality, you get radio silence from Tumblr. So there's something really strange going on, and for someone like David Karp, who is the CEO of Tumblr, to not say anything about net neutrality at this time after everything he did to fight the FCC the last time, it's really strange, but The Verge does have an answer. They state one reason for Karp and Tumblr's silence. Last week, Verizon completed its acquisition of Tumblr parent company Yahoo, kicking off the subsequent merger of Yahoo and AOL to create a new company called Oath. As one of the world's largest ISPs, Verizon is notorious for challenging the principles of net neutrality. It sued the FCC in an effort to overturn net neutrality rules in 2011, and its general counsel, Kathy Griot, published a note this April complimenting new FCC Chairman Ajit Pat's plan to weaken telecommunication regulations. Now, multiple sources tell The Verge that employees are concerned that Karp has been discouraged from speaking publicly on the issue, and one engineer conveyed that Karp told a group of engineers and engineering directors as such in a weekly meeting that took place shortly after SXSW. Karp has talked about the net neutrality stuff internally, but won't commit to supporting it externally anymore, the engineer said. He assures us that he is going to keep trying to fight for the ability to fight for it publicly. Karp did not respond to 4 emails asking for comment, and neither Yahoo nor Tumblr would speak about the matter on record. So understand what's happening here. The CEO of a major company like Tumblr is effectively being silenced, because I want to reiterate what the article states. He's going to, quote, fight for the ability to fight for it publicly. So Verizon comes in and they silence him. They shut him down. So he's no longer allowed, as the CEO of Tumblr, presumably if he wants to keep his job, to advocate for net neutrality publicly. What a scumbag company Verizon is. Wow. Now, to remind you, Verizon is one of a handful of companies that are actually pushing for an overhaul of the FCC's Title II net neutrality regulations, and FCC Chairman Ajit Pat served as legal counsel to Verizon previously. And when he leaves his job at the FCC, you can bet your ass they'll be rewarding him with a cushy new job and a huge hiring bonus. So this whole entire story just reeks of corruption, and even if corruption weren't an element of the story, well, rolling back net neutrality is still unacceptable, because when you look at public opinion polls, the American people are overwhelmingly in favor of keeping net neutrality. In fact, according to a new poll released by the Morning Consult, they explained that with the Federal Communications Commission moving toward repealing Obama-era net neutrality rules, a new poll shows strong bipartisan backing to keep them in place. 60% of respondents in a Morning Consult/political poll showed that they support rules that say internet service providers like Comcast and Verizon cannot block, throttle, or prioritize certain content on the internet. The difference between supporters by party was 2 percentage points, with 59% of Republicans and 61% of Democrats backing the rules. So this is an issue where the American people, they're overwhelmingly in support of one side, and you have the FCC completely ignoring their request because Ajit Pat and the FCC is serving at the behest of their corporate overlords, Comcast and Verizon. And again, if you come from the industry like Ajit Pat did, then you are going to want to regulate that industry in a way that's favorable to them, because you want to make sure that when you leave office, you're going to have a job with the same industry you once regulated. It's called the revolving door, and it's just brazen corruption. So the fact that Tumblr, the CEO, is being silenced, I mean, when you have the American people on your side, speak out, dude. Just speak out. You may lose your job, but if you're a CEO, then you have money. And the fact that, if Verizon certainly is willing to fire you over this, then imagine the press coverage that would garner and actually help net neutrality. I mean, you're a millionaire already. You're a multimillionaire, if not a billionaire. Just speak out. Get fired. Do it for the cause. You have enough money to retire. Do the right thing. And again, I don't want to downplay what David Karp did, because in the past, I think that he was definitely instrumental in securing Title II regulations and making sure that the internet was in fact regulated as a utility under the Communications Act of 1934. So I don't want to shit all over David right now. But what I do want to do is encourage David to speak out. Speak out regardless of the consequences. Do what's right, because this isn't just about your job at Tumblr. This is about democracy now. So you've got to do the right thing, David. Come out in favor of net neutrality. And for Verizon, I mean, they are just a despicable company. I mean, we already knew that, but their true colors are really coming out with this story, showing how they're basically trying to strong-arm and silence other very powerful CEOs from speaking about this issue. It's sickening.
Support this podcast by joining the independent progressive media revolution today at humanistreport.com.